Hey, what's happening, guys? We are back with another edition of the 0 Hour. It's fight week here as we're getting ready to rock into Aries Fight Series 12 going down this Friday night, October 7th, from the world famous Cotton Eye Joe. And that means it's preview time. Myself, Tim Loy, of course, joined here with Dylan McCarthy on site here in Chattanooga doing some promo work for Chattanooga Fight Night, Dylan, down here spreading the good word. So we thought we'd knock out a preview video for you guys. Of course, the action goes down from the world famous Cotton Eye Joe this weekend. You can catch it all on spectationsports.com. That is our new, not new, I'd say we've just renewed our deal with Spectation Sports, so we'll be with them on all of our events for the rest of 2022 and the rest of and all of 2023, including our amateur shows. Like we're going to talk about. Dylan, how's it going, my man? It feels like it's been a minute. We're ready to rock and roll. We've got a busy fall coming up, and started off with Aries 12 before we get into Chattanooga Fight Night, and then a big November.
Well, it's crazy. The summer kind of kept a breakneck pace, but it has been nice. We had a couple of weeks off, getting back to the unofficial home of Aries Fight Series, world famous Cotton Eye Joe. Right. Can't wait. And there's no rest on this calendar. Definitely excited for the fall, but it looks like check out the upcoming Aries 2023 schedule. This promotion just rolls on, putting out great fights, having great events, and this is no different. October 7th is definitely a really fun Joe card, and it's got some title implications, and we got a lot to consider here when you start to break it down.
For sure. And as Dylan mentioned, you catch our entire 2023 schedule. It is posted now on our social media. Make sure you follow social media if you can, Facebook at Aries Fights, Instagram at Aries Fight Series. Actually, Facebook now is the Aries Fight Series. We should adjust that graphic. Before we get into it, let's catch a little spot here, a little promo video, get you guys psyched up for this Friday's Aries 12. When this plays, we'll be back here in about 30 seconds. We'll break it down.
Aries Fight Series returns to Knoxville, Tennessee on Friday, October 7th at the world-famous Cotton Eye Joe. 14 action-packed fights on tap, including 2 championship title fights. See Shield Systems' Joseph Fishma take on Daniel Kilburn for the Aries Amateur Featherweight Championship. And in the main event, the Joe's own Julian Black Cowboy Goins squares off against Jonathan Coffey for the Aries Amateur Heavyweight title. Tickets on sale now at fightertix.com and cottoneyejoe.com.
And we're back here ready to break this thing down. Real quick shout out to our sponsor, our presenting sponsor here, Smoky Mountain CBD. You can check them out at SmokyMountainCBD.com. Lots of great products there. You got the Delta 8, the Delta 9, the CBD. Always great to hook our sponsors up as well, and our VIP tables with the swag bag. So shout out to those guys, Smoky Mountain CBD. Check out their products. Dylan, you and I we've tried these products.
They're great. Yeah, no, there's no secret about that, Tim. I love them. And once I saw the great way that this sponsor takes care of the Aries VIP tables, in addition to a lot of the fighters using their products, 10 out of 10 would recommend. So get on that if you haven't already.
Let's jump into this fight card. Of course, this Friday night, doors open at 5 o'clock. We'll get started at 6 o'clock with the prelims. We'll go through these quickly. Just let me know what jumps out to you, of course, there. We'll start off with tag team grappling, as we are apt to do. That's kind of our new thing here. We start off with the tag teams. We've got 2 debut tag teams, another bout between Crossville MMA and Chaos out of Knoxville. We saw those guys collide head-to-head with tag teams not long ago.
Yep, they're a fixture here, it would seem, in the tag team division.
That's right. Bubba Grant, Dawson Dillard representing Crossville MMA. It'll be Pete Roche, Brandon Burkhardt, a couple guys. We've seen both those guys in action.
Yes, that definitely looked familiar. The Crossville MMA team, I'm not as well familiar with those 2 guys.
Well, Bubba Grant did a kickboxing bout against Brian Ortiz at a card at the Joe not long ago. But this will be the first time for Dawson Dillard. So these are both young bucks. I think these are both 17, 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
Of course, that'll be a fun one to get us started. Tag team grappling, 1 10-minute rounds, race to 3 submissions will win that. After that, Dylan, we've got two bantamweight junior Muay Thai bouts, and these are always a lot of fun. 3 2-minute rounds for both of these. both set at 135 pounds. It'll be Austin Fritz representing Hobbs Jackson Wink in Concord, North Carolina, bringing his 1-0 record to face Terminator X, Xavier Cox, 1-1 out of Phoenix MMA in Hermitage, Tennessee. Just saw Xavier compete at our fair show in Nashville, and he looks really good. Very much improved, very sharp, technical fighter. Austin Fritz, of course, we've seen do the youth MMA. We haven't seen him do kickboxing on our events yet, so I'm excited to see what he looks like with his striking. His grappling's looked real good.
Yeah, that got him a win, I believe, in the only Aries Fight Series card that he participated on, and he definitely made a good impression. It's awesome to see the juniors Thai fights. It's just such a diversity in starting off with tag team, then you get some Muay Thai action, and of course the great MMA action on the main card. Just another staple in kind of what Aries has offered people when they come out and see us at Cotton Eye Joe.
The second Thai bout for the juniors, also at 135 pounds. It'll be the first Thai fight for Audie Baker, a guy that we have been seeing do quite a bit of the youth MMA. He actually fought Austin Fritz last time out in youth MMA. You'll see his first Muay Thai bout, though, representing Memento MMA in Maryville, Tennessee, taking on Xander Persinger, 3-1 with 1 KO. And all these have come at tournaments, so he has not competed yet, like in this format, if you will, with the lights and the walkouts and that kind of thing. So he's done well in tournament style, but we'll see if there's any nerves there, whereas Audie Baker's made that walk.
Listen, I get nervous at the Joe. This kid's going to be, he's got to overcome it, man. You got to overcome it. You got to be in front of a lot of people.
But he's very highly touted. He worked with Joe Long, a guy that we're familiar with here. And then when Joe Long left the gym that he was at to go to Agogi Combatives, Xander went with him. So Xander representing Agogi Combatives out of Chattanooga for this one. That should be a lot of fun. From there, we have 2 adult Thai bouts that will round out the prelims. We've got a lightweight bout at 155 pounds. It'll be the debuting Abe Morse out of Barnyard MMA in Crittenden, Kentucky. This will be his first time competing at all. A teammate, of course, with Daniel Kilburn, who we'll talk about a little bit later. He's going to be taking on the debuting Chaos product, Derek Elangelis. Not a lot known about either of these guys, honestly. We've seen the striking from Daniel Kilburn with Barnyard, so I'm assuming Abe Morris is come correct in that regard in a Muay Thai fight. Langelis, same thing. Josh Cate of Chaos. If he's running somebody out there, you have to imagine they're going to be ready.
Yeah, this month I've noticed we are featuring a lot of really awesome Muay Thai contests between juniors and for obviously the adults, the amateurs, and this is basically the leadoff hitter for that, and these guys are definitely going to want to bring it. Excited to see Barnyard MMA here showing out on this card, maybe from prelims all the way to the final fight of the night.
The final prelim will be the heavyweights. Excited for this one. And these guys will be throwing elbows. It'll be Benjamin Moreno, 1-0 with that one win coming by knockout out of Body Shot Combat, Lowell, North Carolina, taking on Big Johnny Hutchinson, 1-1 out of Team Chaos in Knoxville. Of course, we've seen Johnny Hutchinson in both of his bouts, coming off a win last time at the Joe.
Yeah, it looked great.
Looked really good. And, of course, his other fight against very experienced Hank Peppers, a fight that he was in.
Yes.
There was a bloody fight, a very grueling fight. Lost the decision to that, but definitely a nice showing for his first time out.
He's young. Seems like he's getting better each time you see him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily have a beat on his opponent. Trying to think of. I know we've had some guys coming out of North Carolina having success for us, but I'm just trying to think if Body Shot has been featured. This will be the first time that we've had Body Shot Combat from Lowell on an actual Aries card. Now, the coach, Zach Klaus, over in North Carolina, I haven't been talking to him, trying to get these guys out here for a while. I'm glad we could work it out. Of course, I did get to see Moreno fight on the Augusta Fight Night card we did with Conflict and NFC. That's where he won his initial fight. He's a smaller heavyweight, but he's going to have the quickness advantage over Hutchinson. And in that fight, he looked really good. Really nice knockout over a tough guy. So I'm excited for this one. There'll be a size advantage for Hutchinson, I think. Speed advantage for Moreno. There's a fight, I think, that will be very, very solid as we move on into the undercard portion. And from here on out, Dylan, it's all MMA. You love to see it.
That's very nice. Very nice. We'll get started, of course, with a catchweight bout at 165 pounds. It'll be Mark Harper taking on Ricardo Powell. Both these guys' debuts. Not a lot of information on either guy. Mark Harper, young buck. I want to say he's 18, 19 years old, out of Atlanta, making his debut against Ricardo Powell out of Team Ground and Pound in Villarica, Georgia. Again, not a lot known about these guys. We know Powell is training partner with Xavier Horton, who we'll see a little bit later. Looks like he's in shape. It looks like he's an athletic guy. But as far as that goes, that's about all I got for for you.
That's fine. Hey, that's fine. It always seems like when we go back to the Joe, there's always one of these, that it's past the prelims. Maybe it's a couple guys that people in the company don't really know. And then they come out and we're all blown away and we have a great time at the Joe. And this is probably going to be one of those fights that catches everybody's eye.
Up next, featherweights, it'll be two guys looking for their first wins. It'll be another Body Shot Combat representative, Jared Lopez, taking on Alex Babyface Dees. Lopez 0-1, Dees 0-2. Dees representing Pride Wrestling in Cleveland, Tennessee. We've seen him in both of his initial bouts. Tough competition. He's been in there really deep. I don't know a whole lot about Lopez, of course, but I'm excited for one of these guys to get their first win. They're going to be hungry for it.
Yeah, I talked a little bit with Alex Dees last time we were in Chattanooga for the last event, and hard not to cheer for that young man, but haven't gotten to know a lot of the guys from Body Shot. They will be in attendance, and definitely I'm sure they're going to put their best foot forward, and Alex is always game, so that's going to be a good contest.
Up next, it will be another catchweight bout. This one has been funky. 175-pound catchweight bout. It's going to be the debuting Caleb Lambert out of Team Mayhem in Tazewell, Virginia, taking on Xavier Horton, 1-2 out of Team Ground and Pound, Villa Rica, Georgia. We've seen Horton before last time out. He was fighting at 185. He came up short against Jacob Adams. Jacob Adams, I've said it on the podcast before, Jacob Adams, probably the best amateur fighter in Knoxville, in my opinion. I can't really think of anyone that I would put over him at the moment. Very, very tough guy. So no shame in that loss by Horton. Horton, a very deceiving 1-2. And man, we've had a lot of guys turn this one down. This is quite literally, I believe, the fifth opponent for Xavier Horton. I've had black belts turn him down. I've had every manner of opponent possible turn this guy down. And he's a muscular guy. He's in shape. I don't know if it's they're looking at his physique and they're thinking, he's just too physical for me. I don't know if it's a situation where his record is not so sexy, and so they're like, man, this is going to be a handful fighting a guy that's upside down, but is very tough and very strong and may very well beat me. So props to Caleb Lambert, who steps up on, I think we're on about 4 or 5 days notice. He'll maybe 6 days notice.
That's a tall order.
And of course, props to him for jumping in there, first timer, and I'm excited to see what we can do. From what I can gather, I want to say he is maybe a guard at the penitentiary up there in Tazewell. Hey,
well, you'd probably be well suited to step into the cage and take somebody on if you're in that field. That being said, Xavier Horton is that's a tough one, especially coming down to 175. He's somebody who has a great physique. Size will probably be on his side. Really, I'm sorry to hear that he's had such a hard time kind of locking in on an opponent. That's not fair to him the same way it isn't fair to his opponent. But gosh, they've got the heart of, a true fighter here, and you got an opportunity. This is a great place to showcase your skills. And I think Caleb Lambert realizes that, and it's always great to see Xavier Horton back in our cage.
Most definitely. And I got to say, Horton hasn't turned down nothing but his collar. I've offered this guy tough guys. I mean, a lot of the time, you offer a guy a BJJ black belt, and they're going to shy away from that. And, Horton says, F your black belt, come fight me.
I mean, he's trying to get back to 2-2, and somebody who's got the raw talent that he does won't be carrying a sub 500 record for much longer. It's just a matter of what Caleb Lambert has in store. So I'm excited to see it.
Another catchweight. We've got 3 of those on the undercard here. 150 pounds here. It'll be Chris Hendrick, 0-1, fighting independently out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Last time out, we saw him against Joseph Fishma, who we'll see in the co-main event a little bit later. Yeah. Hendrick, he's a tall, rangy. He looks to be fit, but still trying to tie it all together there. You can see that he has some physical gifts, I feel like, in his reach and in his ranginess. He's just going to kind of tie it all together. Taking on Frankie Gallardo, also 0-1. So both these guys looking for their first win out of Agogi Combatives, Chattanooga, Tennessee. We saw Frankie, I want to say, at Aries 1, where he was on the losing side of his debut in a war. Man, he fought an American top team Atlanta fighter, and that was back and forth. Big takedowns, both guys dropping each other, but Gallardo got clipped there towards the end and came out on the short side. So now it's been nearly a year since that debut. I'm excited to see, how he's improved. I know that he's got a good wrestling background. Yeah,
right here. It is the start of fall. It's a great time to kind of get back into, a good habit. Get ready for winter here. I'm excited that Frank took a little time off. The guys at Agogi, there's a certain level when you see that camp bringing somebody to the Joe, you just know that they're going to have a lot of support and they're going to be very focused. So Chris Hendrick, excited to see what he has to offer. You're saying that he could be a dangerous striker, and seems like the Agogi guys always have an edge in the wrestling and the grappling. So maybe it'll be a classic stylistic clash, and I expect a good contest at the catchweight.
Featured bout on the undercard before we get to the main card. This will be a featherweight bout, 145 pounds. The returning Trip Hallman. It's been a while since we've seen Trip. 3-2, now representing the Academy of Martial Arts in Jacksboro, Tennessee. Trip, a staple on the Aries cards. It's been some up and down moments for Trip. You know, he came out of the gate with a loss. Then he ran off 3 consecutive wins. Got the 3-1. Then he dropped his last MMA bout to Dustin Garrett, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll be welcoming the debuting Devin Emerson to the cage. Devin Emerson representing Team NKI, North Knox Ishinru in Knoxville. We have seen Emerson as a junior. I think he's just turned 18 very recently. So this will be his first MMA fight.
Exciting, man.
We have seen him in the juniors tie fight, so it's not like he's not been in there competing. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the MMA. It'll also be interesting to see the difference in age, if that makes a difference, if Tripp's kind of got that.
I'm intrigued by that. I mean, that's just a natural clash, right? You got a guy who's got experience here fighting for Aries. We haven't seen him in a minute. This is actually going to be my first time in person getting to watch Tripp fight. But I've seen Devin, and those juniors contests are spirited. But now I think this might be a little bit of a different animal. So he's definitely got a tough, experienced opponent, and it'll be a good measuring stick for him as he looks to move forward here.
Before we get to the main card, let's get a word from our sponsor real quick. This time, let's hear from our buddy Greg Hopkins at Warrior Home Improvement. Check them out. Check this out.
Here at Warrior Home Improvement of Chattanooga, we understand that our customers want to feel confident that they have hired responsible, responsive, and trustworthy contractors to properly do any job ahead to help you maintain your home or business. Our storm restoration specialist team handle all jobs, big or small, inside and out in the event of a weather catastrophe, as well as our asphalt maintenance and striping crew dedicated to making your lot and driveway shine bright. We aim to provide professional customer care because every satisfied customer could potentially lead to another business opportunity. Please look us up on Google or Facebook or give us a call at Warrior Home Improvement today. It all starts with one call.
Big thanks to our man Greg Hopkins for the support. Check him out, Warrior Home Improvement. He'll stripe your parking lot. He'll patch your roof up, get you a new roof, all manners of things.
And then he'll get down to the Joe to hang out with us.
He'll get down to the Joe.
The man gets it all done.
Yeah, he does. Moving on now for the second portion of the MMA card. This is the main card, so these are the top 5 fights here. Kick things off with flyweights. 125 pounds. Bryce Warner, 2-2 out of Team Wildside, Clarksville, Tennessee. Just saw him at the fair show. Was looking good, and then had a disqualification loss to Hunter Anderson, where he kicked the head of the down opponent.
No.
And that ended up getting him a DQ. So a deceptive 2-2. He's looked very good.
Both of those losses sound to be pretty hard.
He's looked very good in the losses.
Yeah.
And great in the wins, of course, too. But the deceptive 2-2. He'll be taking on the debuting Joshua Moore out of Team Ground and Pound, the third representative we have out of that group. Moore, I don't know a whole lot about. It looks like the height and reach advantage is going to go to Warner. He's a taller, rangier flyweight. Moore seems like he's more of a short, compact, muscular guy. So we'll see how this one plays out. I already kind of got word from Moore. There's a little bit of a potential weight snag here, so stay tuned there. We may end up potentially making this one a 130 fight, which would be interesting to see if that makes a difference, or if Warner even accepts it at 130, because at the end of the day, he's made flyweight multiple times, and one can't, when you get down to those flyweights and your bantamweights, a couple pounds starts making a lot more difference.
Oh yeah, no, that's especially like you said, you're going down to the weight class there, it just amplifies it. I really hope it continues on. Bryce is somebody who's really exciting. Anytime he steps in our cage, a couple of hard luck. His first loss there against Vincent. Mm-hmm. Man, he looked great. He looked great early in that, and then just went into, got caught in something. And a disqualification like that's always tough. Those happen in the sport, and it's unfortunate. You hate to take a loss when really it's more a lapse of accuracy or judgment or what have you. So. Bryce is a tough 2-2.
Yeah, he's a young buck. This is all learning for him. He's taken these things in stride pretty well, honestly. And he's a guy with a lot of potential. Guy that even at 2-2 with a nice win here, I would already be thinking about putting him right back in the mix.
Oh yeah.
That 125 title. Up next, one that has got some nice interest on it. This one is an intriguing one. It's a light heavyweight bout set for 205 pounds. It's going to be Marshall Murphy taking on Miles Peak. Both these guys are 0-1, so they're both very hungry for that first win. You can imagine we saw Marshall Murphy in his debut last time out at the Joe against Jeff Jankowski. He did very well in the first round. Won the first round, I thought. Second round, his inexperience showed. And he got kind of caught. He was on top. Jankowski had a triangle, not a full-on triangle, but had him kind of trapped and was kind of hitting him from his back. And nothing that was doing a lot of damage, but Murphy wasn't really doing anything but taking it and not getting anywhere out of there. One has to imagine, I know from what I've heard, he's gotten a little bit of cross-training in at Chaos with Josh Cate. Not officially with Chaos, of course, but one would imagine he may have shored up that submission defense and just positional type things. He seemed very nervous the first time. I think the second time here will be he'll be a lot looser. He's going to be taking on Miles Peak, the Peak boys. Yeah, I saw Trevor Peak get that contract. Big shoes to fill here. Big footsteps to follow for Miles Peak. But hey, Miles is his own man. He's looking to get his first win, representing Agogi Combatives out of Chattanooga. And I don't really know what to expect out of this one. We haven't seen a whole lot of Miles Peak in action just yet. So this is his first time fighting with us. I'm excited to have this one. And I know both these guys are super, super hungry to get that first win. I think they're really going to lay it all out on the line.
I love hearing about what Marshall Murphy's doing. Not even so much filling in holes, but just getting different looks, different work. And if we know one thing about Josh Cate from recent tag team contests here, the man's submissions defense
is very good.
You can take a lot from that. That can definitely help you, especially if you kind of had a first fight like Murphy did. And then as far as Miles Peak goes, I mean, is he going to step in there and basically follow Trevor's game plan and just go complete violence on his opponent, looking to flatline people?
One would have to imagine that's what people expect.
That's kind of what I expect. I mean, I don't expect him to come out and point fight, just based on what I've seen about that last name. Super excited though. I'm sure I'm the oldest of three brothers, and we all have our own distinct personalities. So I'm sure he's going to want to do this and showcase his skills and show us what he's all about. So that's going to be exciting.
Up next, our feature bout of the evening, super heavyweights. Man, this is two shows at the Joe in a row. We've had super heavyweights. It always gives me anxiety for our cage, but hopefully it'll make it through.
I love it.
265 plus. Both these guys pushing 300 plus here, and it's going to be Chase Chandler looking for his first win, 0-1 out of the aforementioned Academy Martial Arts in Jacksboro. We saw him last time out come up on the short end against Sean Morgan, Big Sean from Hobbs Jackson Wing. That was a slugfest though, and honestly, early Chandler was landing some pretty nice shots. When you're big guys like that, it only takes one to really alter the course of what's going to happen. He got caught with a big one from Morgan, and that kind of changed, the way the fight was going to go. But early, you could see he has some good power as well. Big guy, taking on another big guy, Jesse Fain, making his debut out of Team NKI in Knoxville. Fain is not a tall guy. He's a compact, just a house of a man. The size, as far as the reach and the height, is going to go to Chandler hands down. But the way that Fain is built is not going to be easy. You can tell to move this guy around, but he's going to be a handful. So really excited for this one. I don't think we're going to go to a decision here, regardless.
No, I mean, so Chase Chandler's last fight for the super heavyweights there out at the Joe was a shooting star, and then you had to just enjoy it while it lasted. It was always going to be brief. Chase had success. When I say early, I mean in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah, in the initial exchanges.
And then the next 15 seconds were unfortunately traffic coming back at him, and anybody in this planet standing in there with guys that size, there's only so many that can be taken. This should be a spirited contest. My first look at Fain. The super heavyweights, they feel at home when we're in the Cotton Eye Joe crowd, and the place is going crazy for those big power punchers. So excited to see what Fain brings to the table, and super heavyweight action is always welcome.
Between we got the big boys kickboxing, we've got the super heavyweights here, we got a main event we'll talk about, and then the light heavyweights for a quarter of this card or better is the big boys. So that's always fun. Co-main event, first of two title fights. This will be to crown our first ever Aries amateur featherweight champion at 145 pounds. We're set for 5 rounds. And It's going to be Daniel Kilburn, 3-1, coming out of Barnard MMA, Crittenden, Kentucky. He'll be facing Joseph Fishma, 3-0 out of Shield Systems in Knoxville. Excited to break this one down. I'm going to let you kick us off here with this one, Dylan.
Yeah, well, if you're watching Tim and I break these down to begin with, you probably saw the Daniel Kilburn interview that you and Jeff did, and it was kind of interesting to hear him and how his camps have evolved and how he has ended up here fighting in the co-main event with a chance to get himself, a title, and he's got his ambitions for becoming a pro. Getting this piece of hardware from Aries here is very important for him. We watched some of his fight footage, and his skill set, definitely a damaging power striker on the feet, going to the inside of the leg, hard body shots. We saw him land a very vicious head kick KO. But then on the other side here in the red corner, Joseph Fishma has been one of the more highly thought of amateurs here at Aries for a while. Even though he's 3-0, his skills when he's in there, and when you've seen the domination and you've seen always being a step in grappling, you realize that that's a skill set that basically is going to give him an advantage in any fight. So here it is. Both of these guys deserve to be fighting for gold. And one of them is going to come out with some future matchup possibilities here in the title picture, and Joseph trying to stay unbeaten. So that's just an extra incentive for him.
Brivin Sullivan calling for the winner of this, and either way this shakes out, that's going to make for a very exciting challenge for whoever the champion happens to be. To me, this fight will be won in the in-betweens, if you will. I think watching video, Kilburn's striking a bit more power, a bit more pop. He flashes that jab nice. He's not afraid to throw kicks. It'd be interesting to see how willing he is to let his kicks go, knowing that likely I'm not saying that Kilburn's way outmatched on the mat by any means, but I would give Fishma the grappling advantage here.
We just haven't seen Joseph even struggle with that.
Right.
So to think that all of a sudden he's going to lose that dominance, you don't see it coming. That is where you're 100% right. That is where the fight's going to be decided.
5 rounds. Neither of these guys have gone 5 rounds. They have both been 3 rounds, even in their most recent bouts. Kilburn has competed at 35. Looking at his 35 fights, I thought he had a really nice size advantage. He was a large 35. He was able to bully guys around in there. At 45, him and Fishma are going to be much more comparable in size. I'm just very curious just to see the strategy for both of these guys here. I have to imagine Fishma is going to probably want to get this to the ground. I would imagine Kilburn's going to want to keep it standing. But at the same time, neither guy are slouches on the other side of things.
Yeah, that's why it's a great match. That's why it's a title fight. Joseph, I feel like, has the onus on him, and maybe it's just because I've seen him fight before. He's the side of this fight that it feels like getting to this point with a title fight and him becoming champion as an unbeaten would just be awesome for him. And Kilburn's coming in here representing Barnyard. This is kind of our first look at them. And what a way we've seen this happen before. You're thinking it's going to go one way because a guy has fought for us before and he's racked up a great record, and then somebody comes in and gives him a challenge that he hasn't had to face yet. So that's what's exciting about that one.
Main event, we go from what will likely be a technical battle to one that's going to be for sure a very violent one. I think we're going to crown our first ever cruiserweight champion. That's exciting. Not all promotions really rolling with that 225-pound class. I like it. I think the big gap between 205 and 265, having something about the halfway point is nice because we're working with 2 smaller heavyweights here essentially.
Yeah, and when you got these guys, anytime you can showcase them, get them on a card. Jonathan Coffey's electric. I've heard nothing but praise for the Black Cowboy, Julian Goins, and I can't imagine that this one's going to disappoint the crowd in any way.
225-pound title, first time we've ever done it, set for 5 rounds. Doubt we get that far. Jonathan Coffey, 3-2 out of Machindo Martial Arts, Marietta, Georgia. We've seen them start coming up in the past few months. Very good striking. Have not seen a lot of their grappling, but their striking has looked very good. And of course, Coffee last time out with a nice win over Gogi's John Hampton that kind of turned some heads, I think.
Yeah, very impressive.
The Black Cowboy Julian Goins, one of the head security bouncers at the Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah.
Familiar face. We see him all the time. The Black Cowboy himself, he's Pooh when he's at the Joe and he's working, but he's the Black Cowboy when it's Aries Fight Night. And Julian, of course, 2-1. He is going to be coming in off a big knockout last time out over Hunter Campbell, where he just crushed him. Huge body shots. Just very, very big power out of Julian Goins. His one loss was to CJ Baker a couple years back. CJ was the champ at that time. That was Julian going for his title. Wasn't able to stop the takedowns in that one. Did pretty well with him early. Started to get fatigued a little bit later on. CJ Baker, a really big guy. He's about 6'6", 6'7", and cuts to 265. He's so about a 40 to 50 pound disadvantage Goins had in that one. And that's why I think this 225 class is going to be better suited for so many of these guys. Coffey's another guy. Last time that he fought, he weighed like 230 or something. He was just already pretty much at weight.
Yeah, and he's got Coffey has got a real speed about him for guys that big.
Very agile, deceptively so.
Yeah, in and out. And as far as Julian goes, he's kind of been the man going around taking names for some time, just waiting.
Anytime we have a heavyweight fight, Julian's up there. Julian's up at the cage.
Yeah, he's sizing him up, and it sort of feels like the planets have aligned, and this is his time to kind of get back in the mix. And Jonathan, stylistically, if you're a fan of a stand-up affair, you're going to be holding your breath. In the first 30 seconds of the first round here, because each one of these guys could come out and hit a punch combo. I think Julian probably has more of the one-shot power. Mm-hmm. But Jonathan Coffey showed that he was extremely comfortable on the feet. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't seen Julian fight yet, and it's awesome that this is a main event. And props for putting this one together, because it is rare. You don't see many cruiserweight titles on the regional scene, and these guys are going to be worthy to call themselves champion once we find out who's going to win between them.
2 new champions to be crowned this Friday. It's going down Aries Fight Series 12, live from the world-famous Cotton Eye Joe this Friday, October the 7th. You can get your tickets at fightertixwithanx.com. You get the pay-per-view at spectationsports.com. Make sure you follow us on social media, folks, and we'll be back here dealing with a recap episode next week. We'll go through all the results and kind of give our recap and reactions. Before we go, real quick, what's your pick for Fight of the Night here? Now not Fight of the Night being like an entertaining, back, not a whitewashing.
It's got to be the main event. It's got to be the main event. It's main event for a reason. Cruiserweight title fight. Guys of that size don't disappoint. Super heavyweights, definitely looking forward to it. But for me, just if you're a fan, why you should come out, why you should pay to get a ticket at Cotton Eye Joe and come hang out by the cage, because that fight, you're going to feel every punch. And I just don't see any way that one's going to disappoint.
Appreciate you joining us out there, folks. Before we go, if you would do us a favor, do us a solid, give us a like here, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you get a notification every time we post new content. We put the fights from this weekend up 14 days later, so you want to get notified whenever you can catch that. Until then, hey, for Dylan McCarthy, this is Tim Loy. We are signing out for another edition of the 0 Hour. We will see you guys this Friday at the Joe. We'll be back here next week with a recap. See ya.
See you Friday.